New York is a unique environment for children's programming. There are an astounding number of places to visit with a television camera. Hundreds and hundreds of potential guests, and it's possible to get high-caliber talent to host the programs. It's no wonder that Channel 5 has had such a rich array of children's programs hosted by a wild assortment of talented men and women, including Sandy Becker and friends.
Gee, it's hard to believe that it's been 30 years since Marvin Mouse and Stanley Q and Giba Giba. You know, some folks never seem to age. Huh? You watch it.
I'm not signing Giba Giba up anything. He's not a vegetable. We're not going to get into that kind of a routine. Now, just stop it. Stop what? Stop the business of trying to sell poor Giba Giba into a carnival. I think that's horrible. Never had that in mind, my friend. All I want them to do is sign a little piece of paper.
You know, it's amazing how one becomes involved with their puppets. Huh? You watch it. How about you? What was the first children's program that you ever watched? Well, one of the first children's programs on Channel 5 was The Magic Carpet. Magic Carpet was so named not by coincidence, as the sponsor was the Alexander Carpet Company, and the Small Fry Club with Big Brother Bob Emery, television's first daily show for kids. The timing was appropriate. The baby boom was just beginning. 2 years after Channel 5 began, Dr. Benjamin Spock came out with the first edition of Baby and Child Care, which has gone on to sell some 130 million copies. And that's probably even more kids than watched the most popular children's program of the late 40s and 50s.
Fighting for law and order, Captain Video operates from a mountain retreat with secret agents at all points of the globe. Possessing scientific secrets and scientific weapons, Captain Video asks no quarter and gives none to the forces of evil. Stand by for Captain Video and his Video Rangers. Off on another dangerous mission for Captain Video, the Video Ranger dons one of his most important pieces of equipment, the secret identifying ring.
Plenty of you Rangers haven't gotten your ring yet. Why, get one right away. And wear it at all times to show that you're on the side of Captain Video fighting to defend law and order.
Do you still have your ring, Video Rangers? I still have mine someplace, but a friend of mine who's with me, Fred Scott, who was the announcer on Captain Video, still has his. Fred?
Yeah, thank you, Don. I certainly do. As a matter of fact, it's right here. Not only the ring, but this is something that was very popular in the days of Captain Video.
Luckily, we were in black and white.
Yeah, that's right. The old lightning strike across the front here, our uniform. You remember that well, Donald?
I sure do. I sure do. I spent 6 years in one like that, or the original ones were khaki. But, we got very fancy toward the end. It started out with a scenery budget of, I believe scenery and props were $15 a week. And you couldn't accrue any of that. If you didn't spend it all, you didn't get any of it next week. You had to spend it. Our original rocket ship was just, I guess, a 5-foot flat, and everything was painted behind us, and we had 2 kitchen chairs that we sat in.
We used a lot of guns, ray guns, and so forth. Where did we get all that equipment?
And all of that was highly secret stuff. The Pentagon is still tracking most of it down. It came from the automobile department of Wanamaker's department store.
You know what I remember about the show? It was kind of interesting to me, because that was kind of my part of the show. I used to bring in the old Western films. Remember, that was an integral part of the show.
What do you say we check on our Texas agents, Wakely and White, and see what kind of an alibi Jane Morgan has for them? Rangers stand by for Texas. Mark this record file number MRB-310. Come in, please. Sharp focus.
How about the times the old Western film would break? This old brittle film, it must have been 20, 30 years old then.
Yeah.
And the film would break, and we'd have to ad lib.
That was the original idea of the show going on, was to show cowboy films. Then the kids that were watching the show decided they liked Captain Video, first Dick Coogan and then Al Hodge, and Fred and myself and Ben Lackland, who was commissioned to carry, and probably every actor in New York who needed $25 did that show. Then there's that famous scene where the budget was low that week, I guess, and we couldn't afford any extras. After all, we were all making $25 a show. Yeah. How far could it go? And we used cardboard cutouts as the poor actor was trying to make a long, serious speech.
Oh, I remember that scene.
There's a great ovation at the end of that scene. You'll notice that nobody moves. The heads don't move, but the hands are closed.
Are really going.
I don't know. There was a college campus attitude about working at Dumont, too. I think not only were we together 5 days a week or 6 days a week, we used to go out together.
Right.
And double date, and then all of us got married, and now we're all dead.
Not quite.
But it was probably 6 of the happiest years of my life. But no matter what would happen.
Would you be good enough to remove the Ranger from the control panel?
Yeah, sure.
Will you go quiet, buddy?
At the end of every episode, Fred Scott would say,
Well, Rangers, the plot gets thicker and thicker.
Will Captain Video and the Ranger discover the sinister trick that has been played on them? Or will Jumo's evil scheme succeed so that they sleep on into inertia and pass the dreaded perimeter?
Well, of course he will. That was one of the pleasures of children's adventure stories. We knew the hero or heroine would always win. Maybe not that episode, but sometime soon. And the painted sets and the imitation ray guns and special effects were so real because we believed.
Many of the characters that I developed on the show defy explanation. I remember one of the most popular characters of all that I did was Hambone. You know, people often ask me, how did you come to think of Hambone? Well, I wish there were an elaborate and involved story, but it goes no further than having heard the music, the Hambone music on the radio. This is Hambone now, the way we finally got him to be quite sophisticated, and in fact, there are several Hambones. They were called the Hamboneers.
When I first went to work for Channel 5, actually, it was Dumont at that time. My partner and I, Paul Ashley, was one of the greatest puppet makers in the world. He did a show called Rudy Kazootie. And Sandy Becker hired Paul and I to, actually Paul, to build a puppet for him called Giba Giba. And in the course of dealing with Sandy saw my crazy kind of shenanigans, and he suggested to me that I do his show. Well, when do I start? And he had a suitcase in his hand. He said, he gets in the elevator, he said, you start Monday. I said, Monday? I said, me alone? He says, yeah. He said, don't worry about it, you'll have fun. I said, how long is the show, Sandy? He said, 2 hours and 45 minutes. And the door goes, dog. So the Monday morning, I got up extra early because when on the air, I think it was 7:45. It was the sign-on. And I get down there with my bag of props and all these sketches and drawings and things, see? That was the baptism by fire. And I said, 2 hours and 45 minutes. How I got through that day, oh.
Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Hey, put on a happy face.
Actually, I started out with 32 characters on the show. And I was able to get in and out of each one of those characters during a 1-minute commercial break. All the costumes were Velcro, and Carmen Gabia and I we developed a very heavy line, kind of cartoony kind of mask makeup that I could put on very quickly with Carmen's help. With the assistance of my buddy Paul Ashley, who played all the other characters. First time I did Bombo, we had the program manager came down and I asked for a prop cannon, which they didn't have the money for, so I built my own. I went out and I got a construction tube that they make big buttresses for freeways, and that was the shaft of it, and it was made of very thick cardboard, huge thing, strong enough to hold cement and concrete. And one of the stagehands, I forget if it was Big Ed or Little Ed, said, well, we'll back up the back of it, you know, and we'll put the flash powder in there. Well, what we created was, in essence, a real cannon.
1, 2, 3, fire! Ladies and gentlemen, wasn't that wonderful? wonderful?
There, you idiot, in the cannon.
Oh, my goodness. You wanted this? You got it. Come on up. Somebody help me. Come on.
We literally blew the control room window out, and the walls went wah, 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 wah. So the program manager, needless to say, Bombo will do no more explosions. You know. So Bombo didn't, but everybody else did.
Golly, I'm the luckiest man in the whole wide world.
All right, I'd like to say a few words about Channel 5 40 years ago. It was at 515 Madison Avenue, a very small little studio, and everything was live. We did our show there, the Johnny Olson Rumpus Room, with my wife Penny, in doing a variety of shows on Channel 5. One that we had was Kids and Company, with the still popular tap dancers, and an occasional baton twirler. You know, this kid is probably a 45-year-old, highly successful stockbroker on Wall Street today. All brought to you by a friendly goose.
Johnny Olson! Hey, hey! Oh! Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Red Goose, and hi!
There's an old saying that the two things you don't ever want to do is work with kids or animals. Well, of course, we did all that all the time. And for the kids, it was wonderful. But the animals, there's a little truth in that.
This is Sidney over here, looking for something to eat in my pocket, as you can see. All right, Sidney. All right. Just take... Uh-oh, there goes my jacket. Sidney is a guest on Wonderama today, and if it seems strange to have a guest like this in the studio, the answer is we're not in the studio. All right, there goes...
I think the elephant won. We didn't have a lot of money to do these shows. And as a matter of fact, I used to take up a collection from the kids, you know, buy props. And so the acts we got were not really the top acts. Okay, I'll admit that. They weren't the acts that were going on Ed Sullivan. But we did what we could. And this one, for instance, was a dog act. And then, you know, hey, a trained dog that would do work and jump over the kids seemed like okay. It would fill a few minutes. So I figured, okay, we'll book this act. And this is the way a cheap act looked on Wonderama.
Come on, sweetheart. Really, come on. Over the top. Come on, come on,
A lot of memories about Wonderama, some of them poignant, and here's one of them.
You consider yourself a politician?
Yes. Being a politician is a way to achieve something. A politician is not just someone who runs for office, because then when that's over, he's supposed to be working for you, doing some things for you, and accomplishing something for the country. So I think it's something that you would like, if you become it, you should become interested in it, because it's going to affect your lives, and it's going to affect your children's lives, and what kind of a country this is going to be.
No review of programs on Channel 5, supposedly for young people, but perhaps more accurately for the child in all of us, would be complete without Soupy Sales.
The format of the show was interesting to the point where I was really like basically a traffic cop, because it was things that happened inside my house. All I was trying to do was to get through the day. And I became Mr. Everyman. Like, after I got through working out with the dogs up in front, I would say, now let's go to the words of wisdom. And we had great words of wisdom. And great words of wisdom like, be true to your teeth and they won't be false to you. And people who eat sweets take up 2 seats. I had puppets, White Fang and Black Tooth, and they were imaginary dogs.
Yeah? Does he sing? No. Does he dance? No. Does he tell funny stories? No. Why bring him in here? I have to. He's my manager.
The pies were very important thing.
The ascots are 13 and the crevettes are 36.
What kind of score is that?
It's a tie score.
What? I don't want to have anything more to do with them cows. Why? What happened?
Somebody gave me a bum steer.
Of course, we had a lot of people that got hit in the face with pies over the years.
They came in seeing you guys were eating here, and I went over there and he ordered pie.
I'd never come to this joint again. I'd see somebody do that to one of us.
Well, wait a minute. There were three of you and there's two of him. He's the one that brought the kid.
Wait a minute. I was sitting here with my daddy, and we ordered pie, and he comes in and he goes, "Pie!" It's like that.
Now, wait a minute. I was trying to take good care of you. You wait just a moment. Hey, you can't do that to my leader. There's your leader.
No, there's your leader. No, I was just sitting here.
Just a moment. Wait a minute. Daddy, come here.